And at the sound of the bell, there goes the timer, because this is Live Stream Insiders. It's the live stream and live video news from the last 7 days in the next 30 minutes. And you're very welcome along to episode number 73. I'm Peter. This is Krishna. Hello once again on a Sunday. Hi, Krishna. How are you?
Head above water in terms of all the live video news that's going on this week. So many things for us to be covering. And as people know, that those of you who are here on Live Stream Insiders every week, we really appreciate you being with us. And our goal is to make sure that we cover all the latest updates in terms of live video in just 30 minutes. So lots of things coming up. With no more to say in terms of our intro, Peter, back over to you.
Absolutely. So we're a virtual handover from one side of the Irish Sea to another. And thank you so much indeed for watching. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching and participating live, or whether or not perhaps you're catching up on one of our pre-recorded programs. Either way, thank you for that. Don't forget, if you watch us live, you can comment, but either way, do feel free to share and like, and then you'll be able to catch up with us every single week, because at this time we do the last 7 days of live stream and live video news here on Facebook, courtesy of our friends at Blue Jeans. Now, Krishna was mentioning so many updates, so we've got those updates for you this week, and also we've got a couple of case studies as well. But first of all, let's talk about Periscope with the changes that have gone on there. And something we've been concerned about for a while, isn't it, Krishna? And that is that group facility. Group facility for streaming just to a select number of people is a fantastic idea. However, we weren't very happy that you were able to, as a participant, to bring other people into that group. Well, now there are more administrative controls for groups, as it works, as Periscope and Twitter in general works to improve the user experience, and also, let's face it, safety as well. Closed groups and group invitations are going to be available, so you can restrict who can participate in various communities. Now, as you know, Groups actually launched last November. Is a way that you can make sure that you're just going to people that you want your live stream to go to, whether that may perhaps mean a membership group, or a group of co-workers, or a group of subjects, or maybe a close group of friends. But by default, anyone could begin live streaming to the group, or indeed add others to it. So it was basically a kind of bring your own friends affair, which ended up not being that closed at all, to be quite honest. And with closed groups now, only the group's creator is designated an administrator, and of course that means that they have complete authority over who can become a member or who can't become a member, and also get to see and get to choose who else gets to see that particular Periscope. And to toggle whether the group is open or closed, you access a management screen and you adjust the setting around the closed group. Now, this is really, really important, and it's really, really useful. And also, there's a new group invitation feature for users, and it restricts others from being added to a group automatically. Within Periscope, you can disable the auto accept group invite setting in your profile, and then you'll no longer see notifications until you accept an invitation to join, because after all, as we've said before, notifications can be a bit of a pain in the old what's it. These two features came out this week, and they're being rolled out to iOS and Android users, as you might expect, over the next few weeks. And Krishna, this is something that we've spoken about again before, isn't it? It's almost as though people at Twitter, Go Live / Periscope, and also Facebook are kind of following us and listening to our wants and our concerns, because it seemed to be crazy from the get-go that you could create a group, but then anyone in that group could share your broadcast to anyone that they wanted to. Almost seemed to negate the whole point of the group mentality in the first place. So this is must be a welcome addition to you.
I think it's a great addition. I don't yet have it though. I don't know if you've checked, but it's not available in terms of on my iOS updates. Now I've got all of my updates done, so hopefully it will be coming soon. But it is something, as you said, came out a little while ago. And I do, like you, do a lot of private live streams. And so having one just specifically for a group is a great way to do it. Obviously, there's no better thing than voice to voice like we have on this platform here. But sometimes there's a good opportunity, just to do something and share and have people comment. So really welcome update that we're actually seeing. So why don't we go on to the next piece of news that we've got for you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here live for Livestream Insiders. So the news that we've got now, actually, let's stay with Periscope stroke Twitter. And this is an update that came out this week, just in terms of Indigiday. And remember, if you look with the notes associated to this stream, wherever you're watching it, you'll be able to see the archive of all of the notes that we're covering today, all the news stories, plus lots more besides, because we only have a certain amount of time in the show. So it's interesting in terms of this article that came out, and it was all to do with the annual 10K report that came out from Twitter that was released on Monday. And in fact, I think the article is a little bit misleading, and I'll come to why I think it's misleading in a moment. But basically, it actually goes on, talks about the fact that Twitter is going to be growing its video presence with the objective to reach more new users and potential buyers. And it said in the annual report that it's still not making money from Periscope, but it does actually see that there's going to be a bigger shift towards video. Now, it then quoted in the article, in 2017, our focus is being and shipping product changes more rapidly to make Twitter safer, said the company in the report. We intend to invest in our core use case and in new product areas, such as live streaming video. And let me just show with you the information here on the screen share. So in terms of, we're going to be doing more live video, amongst others, that will further strengthen Twitter's unique position as the best and fastest place to see and talk about what's happening in the world. Both Peter and I attend lots of events, and obviously with his background in terms of in news, then Twitter has an important place to play in that. And I just don't think there's any better way for us to share information about news. Of course, it's huge around sports. And as we've reported here on Livestream Insiders, there's been a lot of plays for Twitter to actually be producing a lot more live video. And that's where I think the article is a little bit misleading, because the third paragraph says, going forward, Twitter plans to grow its video presence, and actually it goes on and says, actually in the first paragraph it says it will focus more on its Periscope app in 2017. Well, that's not actually what the quote in the report says. It says live video. And we've talked before about actually, will Periscope continue as a separate app, or will it actually all be brought into one? Twitter video, live video at the minute, is really being used by large organizations, sports organizations, and the commercial deals that are being done there. So I think it's live video, and of course that's about updates that we're seeing and we keep reporting on in terms of Periscope, but also I think it's the bigger play. So don't take that first line to heart in the article. It's not about it focusing on Periscope. Twitter's focusing on live video, amongst other things. And the other things we've seen again this week have actually been some updates, so welcome updates in terms of safety as well. You'll find details of that in the show notes. But Peter, that's Twitter is, Periscope specifically is how you and I got to meet each other in the first place. We've got a lot to be thankful for. I've got a lot to be thankful for in terms of Periscope.
Well, you know what? We both have, haven't we? And it's really interesting because there is somebody who we both know, Krishna, who's a well-respected colleague of mine. And I was talking to him just the other day, and he casually said that, Periscope this and Twitter that. And I said, well, hold on. They are different. And he said, what do you mean they're different? And I said, well, hold on. There are at least three different ways of how they are different. You can broadcast on Periscope but watch on Twitter, and you're going to get a different user experience than if you broadcast on Periscope and you watch on Periscope, or you can broadcast on Twitter and watch on Twitter. Yeah. They're three different user and broadcast experiences with different features amongst them all. And he looked at me for about 5 seconds and then said, "Oh, yes, I'd never thought about that." And there and then we started deleting Periscope and deleting Twitter and changing accounts to test it out and to show that he had perhaps kind of not thought that through. So it's really interesting what you say, of course. And it's also interesting what we've got for the next 19 minutes of our lives together here on live stream inside, as Krishna saying a few moments ago, that we only have a certain amount of time each Sunday night. And you may think to yourself, well, why is that? You can go open-ended. You can talk for as long as you want. We value your minutes. We value your megs. And you know what? If we did go open-ended, I'm sure that would mean that we just got flabby. But we try and cut things down to the bone. We bear in mind the time, our self-imposed time limit that we set ourselves, just 30 minutes. So let's crack on. And from some Twitter Periscope to some stats about Facebook Live. Now, I was reading this, and it's another report which on the first reading seems to be a little bit misleading, but Facebook Live, quote, I'm going to do those rabbit ears, is stagnating in the UK, according to digiday.com. They say with Facebook ending payments to certain media companies for creating live video, then what that means is that publishers won't be ramping up live video production over the next 6 months. However, one of the stats that I saw quoted, if not in that article by digiday.com, then another very similar article, actually gave a graph of video views rather than videos created. So bear that in mind. But I think that Krishna, on the pulse as always, actually got the correct screen grab there for the correct graph showing the number of video shows created. And essentially what this was saying, that because some companies like The Guardian, the Daily Mail and Sky News, they created 850 Facebook Live videos between them, all plus BBC Sport as well. That's kind of leveled out over the last 6 months. Now, what this article which is based on some stats by Social Bakers, is saying that actually previously Facebook was giving people a whole wheelbarrow full of cash, gold bars essentially, to just create basic videos. But now they're not going to be doing that in the next financial year. And indeed, what they want more people to be doing is to be a bit more creative and a bit more thought through. So 360-degree video, a bit of VR, and also the new kid on the block, which frankly we haven't heard much about, Krishna, and I think this will come into our remit as 2017 goes forward, and that is live audio. It's something which Facebook created about 6 months ago, and some publishers and some broadcasters are on the inside track in the early days of live audio. But you know what? Facebook is not going to be paying those publishers to actually create live audio, but they are giving them preferential treatment and will be promoting their videos, or live audio, I should say, a little bit more than anyone else's. So a publisher, and also here in the UK, LBC Radio, the talk station, which is essentially in London, but across the UK as well. They are on the early days project for that, on the beta, if you like. So a bit of a retreat as far as Facebook goes. They want to stabilize the volume of lives that we see. And essentially the quote here from Will Hayward, who's Chief Executive Officer at Joe Media, says the two things Facebook cares about the most is revenue and user experience. And also Will pointing out that stunts have significantly decreased over the last few months. Facebook wants to be a socially distributed video and VR network. In order to achieve that, it needs premium lean back content. Lean back is like the bacon I have for breakfast that people want to share. Boy, oh boy, does that mean I'm now going to actually have to invest in a 360 camera to do some more live streaming? Well, I know what. MojoCon is coming up. I'm already making a list of some things to buy at MojoCon in Galway in May, and one of them is a fantastic kind of selfie stick. I don't know whether you saw me commenting on that earlier on in the week, Krishna, with two microphones, one for you and one for the person you're talking to, on the same stick. I love that, but boy, oh boy, it's a little bit expensive. And also maybe I ought to put aside a little bit of holiday or Christmas or birthday money for a 360 camera. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the challenge is which 360, because there's a lot of new ones that are coming out. I do have a 360 camera, as you and I know, and I've got one that can go straight streaming via Periscope. But there's so much new tech that comes out. We often cover that here on Livestream Insiders. But let me just go back for a moment to say thank you, everybody who's with us here, and also thank you to those of you who've shared today. Interesting. I was a little bit worried, Peter, by that news you had about UK publishers and use of Facebook Live, because my nervousness is that will turn other people off it. Adoption of Facebook Live by businesses in the UK and Ireland is still really, really low. I'm actually delivering an event or two events this week for the Professional Speakers Association in the UK about using live video if you happen to be a professional speaker. But it's actually not being used very well. I'm starting to see a few businesses using it in Ireland, but I'm also noticing that where people or organizations are using it, they're using it really for competitions. Come along, watch this, win. Very few have actually got a regular commitment to actually delivering content that's going to be of help, be it a limited kind of series, maybe it's 4 or 5 series or 2 or 3, or as we do in terms of our commitments is a lot longer than that. We've been doing this for 18 months or so in terms of that. So I'm always nervous when I see those kind of reports, because marketers will pick that up and say, oh, Facebook Live is dead. It's no different from being in an organization where you have a set of objectives and you do what you get paid to do. So of course, if you're going to incentivize organizations such as publishers to produce live video, and that's what Facebook has been doing, what are they going to do? They're actually going to do that. There's a mutual benefit to Facebook and the publishers, because of course that helps both the publisher in terms of engagement with their audience, but it also helps Facebook get Facebook Live known. And they know that publishers have got high production values. So it's interesting to see it. I'm just nervous for the rest of businesses and organizations that I think got a long way to go. And that's why you and I do this show, isn't it, Peter?
Absolutely. And also, if you don't mind the plug, it's also why I've done the book, which has got a couple of chapters on Facebook Live and Twitter Go Live, Periscope, or any other live streaming video, a couple of chapters on all about that sales and marketing funnel and the part that live streaming video can play within it, and some of the things that you need to think about before you jump on. And of course, hundreds and hundreds of case studies as well. More on that between now and October, of course, when it hits the shelves. But Krishna, you've got another great article to bring us now from marketingland.com.
Yeah, and interestingly, this article from Marketing Land is actually written by somebody who works for Tubular Labs, and we've talked about them before. They often give us great stats on video and live video use. And the article, again, I'm just going to pick out a couple of things, go back to the notes, you'll be able to go to it yourself. This, if you're new to live video and you're here for Facebook Live tips, this is going to help you. Some of you know this stuff already, and it's things that we've talked about for some time. But the point is, it comes back to actually less is not necessarily the best in terms of the length of your live stream. So it's something, in fact, that Peter was just referencing before. We do a 30-minute live stream, and we can actually see the analytics afterwards. We get a lot more people watching the show after an event. Of course, we do promote it, although there's more things that we could do to promote it in advance. But of course, one of the things that I've noticed is some organizations and some Irish organizations and some Irish, let's say, news organizations, I won't name who, have been going live for like 1 minute and 30 seconds, 2 minutes. And that is not good practice, according to this report and according to Facebook. So a couple of things that actually goes through in terms of, because of course, something we reported on a few weeks ago was about that change in the algorithm in terms of Facebook Live. The fact that actually Facebook is actually going to does take note about how long a video we're watching, and that's actually going to affect what videos you're going to see in the newsfeed as well. So that tweak actually is all about your commitment, my commitment to watching longer videos that run more than a few seconds. A few seconds or 20 seconds might be a promotion that you might do. We're talking about actually watching a lot longer than that. So what does it mean for publishers and brands? Well, the article goes on to talk about, for native video uploads, the length of a clip matters less than the power of the content has to pull the viewer in and make them engage in some significant way. And actually goes on to say that for Facebook Live video broadcasts, the longer you can stream, the better chance you have to pick up those engagements. Now, remember, if you're watching a live video and you like the content from that page, one of the key things is to go back to that page and actually subscribe. You can actually subscribe to get updates of all their live videos, and you can also look to get them at the top of your news feed, and that helps. So one of the things I've noticed on desktop and on mobile, we've talked about before, that will pop up that you're watching. But of course, the more that people interact, so those people who've been commenting or interacting or sharing here, that helps our content reach other people as well. So the longer that you're on for a Facebook Live, actually, the more you've got chance for those posts to go out, for also that people to interact and to get more people to actually see it, which is interesting, going back to what I said about before of how I'm seeing a lot of organizations at the minute actually using Facebook Live specifically for competitions. And it actually goes on to quote about the fact of the top most watched live streams, and we've talked about this before from Tubular Labs data, is actually over 3 hours long. Facebook recommends that we broadcast for 20 minutes, and even though, of course, you could broadcast for 4 hours if you want recorded content. In fact, you can record, for 24 hours, but you won't get an archive of that if you are interested in it. So, in the last 90 days, 4 out of the top 5 most watched Facebook live streams reported as by Tubular Labs were over 3 hours long. So 4 out of the top 5 were over 3 hours long. We are not advocating you do a 3 hour live stream unless your content demands that. But actually, that was interesting to see that. And of course, things like the countdown for the presidential election that you might have seen, that got 50 million views in the first few days. And that's for the 2020 presidential election. So it's going to be lots of things I'm sure will change with Facebook Live in that time between then. So it says, even with a hefty promotional push beforehand, it can sometimes take time for your audience to build. You can find details of that article in the curation. As I said, Marketing Land was the publication, but also it's quoting stats and information from Tubular Labs, another good source for data.
Good common sense advice there. And again, talking about slow live video, that's another section in the book. And I think that's really interesting. Some of the slow techniques and some of the ideas that some publishers have had over the general broadcasters have had with a small b, as opposed to the professional broadcasters, the kind of programs that they've shown and streamed over the last year or so, Krishna, and it might be worth us talking about that perhaps in the future, that actually that is perhaps an underused format, which is going to be getting more and more views, if only because the longer that you're on, the more chance there is of people actually seeing what you're broadcasting. Boy, oh boy, 5 minutes to go before the end of the show. Let's bring you up to date with a case study, a user study, and this is about Facebook Live and more piracy that's been going on, and it's quite canny. It's got some really interesting results here. It's a new piracy ground which has opened up for football, for soccer over here in Europe on Facebook Live. There's been some research by a Spanish newspaper which showed how several Facebook pages have managed to create a network of profiles to broadcast football or soccer games through Facebook Live and avoiding anti-piracy control measures. So certain well-respected pages, just regular football fan sites, enable temporary live feeds which are managed through multiple profiles, and then, boy oh boy, Shazam, they disappear without trace once a game is over. So, for example, let's give you a stat. One match between FC Barcelona and Real Madrid was seen by over 4.6 million unique users worldwide on the sly, but Spain's beIN Sports Signal reported just 2.2 million legal viewers. You can imagine that the authorities, the people who've paid for those particular broadcast rights, are none too happy that other people are getting twice as many viewers illegally than they are what they've paid for. And of course, if you've paid for viewership rights as well through a box under your TV, you may also think to yourself, well, hold on, why am I doing this if I can just get on Facebook and watch it for free? Maybe a little bit more grainy, maybe a little bit in delay, maybe possibly perhaps without a commentary or a commentary in a foreign language, but I still get to see the actual match. Worth bearing in mind, and also seeing whether or not Facebook is going to be cracking down a little bit more on that. But one of the quotes from the Spanish League says, "We have agreements with social media platforms to track illegal content, but a new feed opens up right after we close one of them down."
Haven't we, in terms of fake content? And we're also seeing that actually organizations are having their content taken down if they're breaching copyright. So, you know, the whole issue of licensing and what content gets shared, particularly in terms of the arts, in terms of sports, in terms of music, that's a huge issue. I think we're going to be continuing to talk through that for the rest of the time we're live streaming on Live Stream Insiders in the months and perhaps even years ahead. Two quick things for me to actually round up today with. Firstly is something that we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. Some of you might be fans of this if you're in the US, which is the Daytona 500. And of note to us in terms of when we actually saw this being reported was the fact that it wasn't specifically around this being a live video from a specific platform, other than the publisher Fox Sports themselves. And what was interesting is they've realized, obviously, more and more the power of live. But interestingly, from my perspective, it's the power of live off mobile. So this was giving people the opportunity to watch the Daytona 500, a couple of specific live streams are from that race. And specifically, they said in the article, which was about Fox had 20, this is on sportsvideo.org, 20 manned cameras to use along with the previously mentioned in-track and high-speed cameras that they've actually got, which is referenced in the article. And there would also be 10 robotic cameras as well. And actually it was being shared through the Fox Sports Go app. And so that was really quite interesting in terms of that being shared there. And so interesting in terms of seeing how you could use that. And it says that they could envision that this kind of stream could also be used for other organizations as well. And the last thing that I actually wanted to pick up here in terms of the live stream is two things that I can see a number of people who have been checking out these tools. And these are two live video platforms that have actually come to our attention this week. Now, I may be mispronouncing them, but the first one is binge.tv. It's actually an Israeli product. I actually did reach out to them. Now, there's a time where it's like, how much do we actually get fear of missing out? That's sometimes me in terms of what are these new platforms doing. But this is a platform that's talks about having your own live stream show. And it seems to have a lot of additional tools that you can use to enhance your production. One thing that they are giving away free at the minute is a reactions tool. I'd use that with a bit of caution, because if you look at Facebook's terms for actually using reactions, then they actually do very specifically say you shouldn't be using them in live video. So I'm a little nervous that the platform has introduced a live video reactions tool there, encouraging people to use it for free, even if you can't get into the platform. When I reached out to them, they said, we've been overwhelmed with people looking to use it, so you're on a wait list. So at some stage, I may get a chance to look at it. And another one that I actually saw a lot of people seem to be jumping into is Wekiki. Now, again, I might have mispronounced that, and you'll find links to both of those platforms in the show notes for today's show. And so I can see that being an interesting platform. I see a lot of people jumping into that in terms of having it as a chat platform. I think perhaps because people are actually missing the platform that you and I first used for live stream insiders, which was that platform beginning with B called Blab. And I think it'll be interesting to see how people use that. I'd be really interested to see if in the comments here, has anybody been trying any of those platforms out, those two that we've mentioned? We'd love to know. And if you've got an experience of using them, do let us know. We might have you on to the show in terms of telling us how you've been using them. But that's it for me in terms of all those updates. Lots to get through, wasn't there, Peter?
Absolutely. Another content crammed show. Thank you so much indeed for watching episode 73. And Krishna, thank you indeed as well for your technical expertise there with all the knob buttons and switches. If you haven't realised before, I kind of put together the show notes during the course of the week. And then Krishna is the person that does the production on the day itself. So my grateful thanks to her. Episode 73 at an end. Don't forget, you can, if you've only just joined us halfway through the show, you can watch it from the start a little bit later on when all that is uploaded to Facebook and all the cogs and wheels have finished turning in the next few minutes. And also, of course, you can see our show notes. Links to everything that we've talked about over the last 30 minutes will be available, so you can read those articles yourself. But there we go. That's it. Time's up. We're out of here, and have a good week ahead. Thank you so much indeed for the loan of your eyes and your ears. We'll be back with you in another 7 days.
And just one thing to point out is you might not be aware that in the US, daylight savings time takes effect next week. So for 2 weeks here in UK and Ireland, we're out of kilter because our daylight savings time doesn't happen till the end of the month. So what does that mean for you? Well, actually, it means that I guess one thing is you lose an hour's sleep if you're in the US, but it means that we're closer in time. So if you're Eastern time, no longer are we 5 hours difference, we're going to be 4 hours difference. So just watch that, particularly if you've got live streams that you're doing yourselves. Be aware of that, of that difference in time. And it's again different if you're in Australia. So just worthwhile taking note of it at this point in time. In terms of wherever you are in the world. Good luck with your live streams. Make sure you let us know about how you've been using those platforms that we've talked about this week. We'd love to hear your news. And thanks again for everybody joining us here live and for sharing Live Stream Insiders. Until next week.